not gonna lie, I kind of get it feeling like you have companionship in your chat GPT. Like, first of all,
Mhm.
my man knows me. My chat GPT knows exactly what I need, how to talk to me, gets me on so many levels.
Yeah.
Are we gonna see an increase in people like feeling like they don't need relationships anymore?
It's behavior, bitches.
Hey guys, welcome to today's episode of Behavior Bitches Podcast. I'm excited about our guest today, as I'm always excited because we only have cool people on the podcast. Duh, because I choose who we have on. And our guest today, and I'm actually so embarrassed because it took us forever to get everything set up for the podcast. We were having lots of technical difficulties, and our guest today is a little intimidating when it comes to anything tech or AI related. So let me tell you about our guest and why it's
Aw.
embarrassing that we couldn't figure out how to get our shit together. Even though Julia, you did a great job. I know she was very stressed. All right, so our guest today is Beth Garrison. She holds a PhD in artificial intelligence. For those of you guys who didn't know, that's AI. Where her research has specialized in working with neurodivergent individuals, co-designing AI prototypes and agentic systems. Is that how you say it? Agentic?
Yeah.
This is way too smart for me already. To support them in reaching their vocational and social goals. Beth specializes in data science, human computer interaction, UX research, and has experience in developing natural language processing, computer vision, and generative AI models. Now, the cool thing about Beth is a BCBA. She became a BCBA in
Yeah.
2010. You are like a vintage BCBA too.
Yeah.
2010 is
Yeah.
like, did you take the test on paper or on
Third edition. It was on computers, but third
third
edition. Third
edition?
task or third task list.
Oh my God, third edition. And now we're on the sixth edition. And it's not even a task list anymore. It's a test content outline.
Yeah. Yep.
Amazing. Okay, so your background, what I see here, and I'm going to let you talk about it a little bit, is you've worked in, it looks like in clinics, school districts, and insurance funders. Is this correct?
Correct. Yeah. Yep.
So you've gotten around the ABA space. I like it. You've seen it all. And you have developed customizable training packages for staff working in the field and parents with children with developmental disabilities. And Beth is currently an instructor for the University of West Florida Center for Behavior Analysis.
Correct. Yeah.
Am I just want to
Along
make
with
sure
lots
I'm
of other
right?
projects.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great.
And
Yeah.
you are the principal AI engineering manager for ABA Toolbox.
Yep.
Is this correct?
Yep. Yep.
You're
Yeah.
busy. Okay,
I
a
am.
comprehensive clinical and practice management platform, and is the co-founder and CEO of AAC TIV, like AAC device TIV
Active. Yeah.
Active
Like at AAC, we
Active.
call it
I
active
just needed them
gaming.
to know how like cute the letters work there.
Yeah.
Active Gaming, a platform transforming speech generating applications into dynamic tools for play and connection.
Yes.
And on top of that, she consults for various organizations through her company, Shaping Development, to shape organizational and personal development by leveraging advances in technology, data science, and behavior science, helping her clients meet their individual goals. On top of that, Beth is a mom to a 7-year-old, sorry, not seven, that'd be easier, a 7-month old little guy,
Yeah. Yeah. Little guy Dalton.
Dalton. How important is it to you now that you have a 7-month old to raise a child who understands AI?
Oh my gosh, it's so important. I am such a huge proponent of AI literacy, especially for education. Honestly, so like us going through grade school and things like that, we had to take some like computer classes and things like that. Like typing. I don't know if anybody remember
Remember,
like
like,
Mavis
Mavis
Beacon.
Beacon? Ah!
Yes,
Oh
it's
my
so much
god,
fun.
yes. In the Oregon
Um,
Trail? That wasn't related, but
yeah,
do you
and then
play that?
yeah, Oregon Trail. So I think it's gonna be very similar. Like I do think that we're gonna have at some point soon, hopefully, probably, AI literacy classes in every single school. I know that's kind of like the major push right now in education. So it'll be great. My hope is that he will definitely have strong AI literacy skills for sure. I have a little baby book for him. It's like the ABCs of artificial intelligence that
Oh,
we've been
that's
reading.
amazing. I love
Yeah.
it. Yeah, and I went to this entrepreneur conference last week, and one of the guy's main advice was like, for your kids, teach
Mhm.
them. Julia, do you remember the three things? One was AI.
I miss this one.
Two, I think, was like how to read, and three, like how to sell.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
I'm thinking
Yeah, I was
too.
gonna say, like, financial literacy is also incredibly important, so I'm hoping that was part of the discussion as well.
He was like, so that brings me to, well, I have a lot of questions I want to ask, but before that,
Yeah.
I like to do a little fun segment in the beginning. And what would you say your weirdest chat GPT search was that you're willing to share?
Oh my gosh. So, when I was
And
pregnant
are you using chat GPT or using something
um,
cooler?
I use them all. I don't use a specific model. I use models based off of what they're good at. Each of the models have their own skill sets essentially, or what they are good with outputs. So I actually use all of the models at this point, the state of the art models, depending on the task that I'm doing. But I will say, so maybe not ChatGPT, but I'll say Gemini because it's now tied greatly to the Google search. But Gemini
We need
was
to
my
use it more.
pregnancy
Like,
partner.
is that your favorite partner?
It was my pregnancy partner.
Oh,
So,
okay.
going through pregnancy, I was just, like, asking so many questions of Gemini, and Gemini was just, like, probably by the end was just like, "This woman needs to talk to her OB. Stop chatting with me." But no, like, I used the models for different things. So, like, I'll use Claude for specific things, ChatGPT for specific things, Gemini for specific things. So it just depends.
do you pay for premium for all of them?
Yes.
They know you.
But to me, it's a business expense, so because I work in AI, so
Oh,
but yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, I do pay for them, and also too because very impatient, so I'm not gonna be blocked out by someone waiting for
I I
their
like it.
stuff
No,
to
they
come
build
through
that
ahead of me.
MO. They build that
Yeah,
MO
oh,
for you.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, so I guess my weirdest thing was Gemini going through pregnancy. It was just, like, asking Gemini so many weird questions. My search history is probably bizarre.
Oh, well, mine are more along the lines of like, who do I need to date? What kind of person do I need to date? Um, how do I make this? Like, how could I make a quiz to like see if this person is worthy of me? Things
That's
like that.
actually a really good use of I think that's actually ChatGPT would do really well with that.
It's actually crazy. Ugh, my phone is not here right now, but I have to tell you, it is crazy how well it knew me. And I'll tell you,
Yep.
I don't remember the exact things it said, but I could tell you 1 through 10. 1 and
Mhm.
number 1 and number 10 were both quick. It was like, "You need someone quick who gets it." And it's like, "We're gonna put it
Mhm.
again as number 10 because it's that urgent that you need someone quick who gets it and, like,
It
gets on
repeated it.
board and is not in the way." And
That's awesome.
I was like, "You're not wrong." Oh, and if you ask ChatGPT to roast you and not hold back, that could be.
Mhm.
Have you done that?
Yes, I've done that. I've done, like, all the fun stuff, like, it'll generate, like, a bobblehead for you based off of what it knows about you, like, all these different
What
kinds of things.
accessories did it put with your bobblehead?
Oh, for me, it was coffee. It was coffee, it was a computer, which made sense. It was also weird because at the time I was wearing my hair up a lot in like messy buns, and now like I cut my hair, so I'm not wearing it up as much. And it was like a messy bun. Like it was very kind of creepy that I do all this stuff
It's
because I didn't
amazing.
upload a picture.
You didn't upload a picture?
Well, I did. I think I had uploaded like a little picture of me, but it didn't have like my hair. It was kind of because the messy bun is hard to like show in the picture, but it like automatically made it a messy bun, which I thought was interesting.
'Cause I remember before, like, it's actually seen a picture of me, I had been like, "What do you like, based on what you know about me, what do you think I look like?" And it was pretty spot on.
Accurate.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. I mean, and this kind of just shows you
I'm like, "Am
actually
I
what we're
that
talking
basic?
about.
Am I that basic?"
No, no, but what it's telling you is that the data that are being collected in these platforms are just super intense. And the amount of data that they're collecting in these platforms and the amount of data that goes into these platforms that they save in their memory at this point. So it just illustrates this further as far as the data collection
So
involved for AI.
now that you like you under to me, I haven't like I don't understand it at all. I use it, but like I mean, I obviously understand parts from like a behavioral angle. I'm like, okay, look, I
Hmm.
just reinforced it. I said, like, yep, that's right use of the term reinforcement, and that's not right. Like we're essentially like training with
Yeah.
reinforcement and punishment. But
Yep.
understanding what you understand about it, you know, some people are like super nervous, like, I don't want to talk around my Alexa or my Siri or now my iPad's going off. See, because I don't want it hearing things. I personally love it to know as much about me as possible. I'm like, I have nothing to hide. But
That's awesome.
what about you? Like now that you understand what it's taking, or do you have concerns?
I don't have okay, so I guess I should say this. I have concerns about the fact that we didn't address this sooner. In that, like, these things have been collected, these data have been collected for a really long time, and these haven't been we didn't really get a handle on this a lot sooner, but because of that, and I say this to everybody, that ship has sailed. So, like, they're collecting data on us for everything and every possible thing. So there's no reason at this point for me to be like, "Oh, A, like you said, I don't really have anything to hide." But at the same time, they've been collecting this data on me for longer than before any of us even knew that they were
Like
doing
how
this.
long?
So,
Like how long?
I mean, most like essentially, as soon as you signed up for a Facebook, MySpace, I'll date myself, MySpace account, like you have all these, websites collecting data on you as you're working and interacting. And then we have add in like, recording devices, Alexa, Siri, because it's all that speech to text, text to speech kind of thing. It's been there for years and years and years since we've had this technology. So, to me, we never got a handle on controlling the data. So at this point, they're just collecting it. They know about me. I can say I can opt in, I can opt out. But the other thing that they do with this is if you opt out, you can't use the service. And a lot of these services have made our lives a lot easier with certain things. So it's kind of like, it's very much behavior analysis. Like they've really worked ourselves into like this Skinner box of operating in technology. So it is what it is. That's kind of how I look at it. I don't, I don't get angry about it because I know that it's been happening for years and years. So,
It's behavior, bitches.
Are you a BCBA now and you are sad because you hate your job? Are you thinking, I worked so effing hard and here I am, dreading Monday? Well, you're not the only one. We get that message all the time and we decided to do something about it. Welcome our newest baby, Pair ABA by Study Notes ABA. What is this? Well, we pair you with jobs that you actually don't hate. Imagine that. Imagine going to work on Monday and being excited about it. Imagine working somewhere where you're appreciated, you're paid well, they're doing ethical practice, and you love what you do. Well, that's not impossible because we have formed Pair ABA where we talk to clinics that we would actually want to work at. We're not going to send you anywhere. We are assessing these clinics to see, are they doing the good work? Are they not telling you one thing and then having you do another thing once you sign on? If you're concerned that you're not happy or you're feeling unsettled where you are, don't settle. Don't settle in relationships. Don't settle in work. Realize your value. Let us help you find a job where you are happy. All you need to do is head on over to pairaba.com, fill out the form so we can help you find job options near you. If you're a clinic and you think you're good enough for us to place at, also head over to pairaba.com. And we will see, are you good enough for our badass BCBAs who we protect? Go check it out, pairaba.com. Love you, mean it. Would you consider the fact that you have a behavior analytic background to help you train your, and tell me if I'm using the words wrong, like your GPT or your A, I get confused how to use the different terms. Like maybe you could help me out there. But
yeah.
like, prompting is a huge part of it. I mean, they even use the word prompt, right? Like
Yeah.
to talk
Hmm.
about it. And
Yeah.
do you feel like your understanding of ABA helps you?
Yeah, definitely, especially now. So it's kind of interesting so I started my PhD program in 2019. There's been a lot of evolution in the field of AI since 2019.
I mean,
So I've been,
2019, like, we were already like, I mean, we were working on this back then.
yeah, oh
Like,
yeah, we've been
we
working
had
on
to have
this
been
since
I mean, this is
the
just crazy.
50s, 1950s. There
I
was
mean, I've already I
the
mean, so much has happened to me since then. I got married in 2019, had a kid, got divorced. Like, this has all been happening behind my back. Okay, so tell me about this.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, well, honestly, the field of AI has been around since the 50s, since 1950. So, it's been around for a while, but in 2019 I started the program, my PhD program, and it was a very different landscape. We didn't have really LLMs on the scene. We had what we referred to as like a lot of machine learning, so natural language processing, computer vision, these kinds of components of what we're now starting to see with these large language models, large multimodal models,
What does that even
coming
mean?
about.
What does that mean?
So, well, if we think about like ChatGPT essentially and DALI. So DALI is like has a lot of things based off of like computer vision. So it's looking at generating novel images based off of its, data set, what you give it as far as a prompt. When I started in AI, we didn't have prompting. It was like you get this large data set and you need to train this model that you're creating or using open source. You're using these GPUs. I mean, we had these, and so GPUs is a technical term. It's basically just this. It's the energy required to get the models to run. Essentially, we had to use all these things in house and develop things. Like we had these millions of dollars in funding, grant funding, to pay for some of this equipment because you really, it's not cheap. Um, so back then, and it still kind of is, but at that point, we were doing a lot of data processing, data science, data cleaning. It's all math. All of this is math. Before I started my program, I had to do like crash courses in linear algebra, calculus, getting myself back up to speed with some of these things because I hadn't taken some of these
Are
classes
you a
since high
math
school.
girly? Are you a math girly before this?
Not super much. I mean, I took calculus in high school, but that was like the last time I'd taken it. And, date myself, I just turned 40 2 days ago. So it was like a while
Congrats,
ago
happy
before,
birthday.
thank you. Thank you. So, it was a while ago that I had taken these classes. So, back then, it very much was like the programming and data structures and algorithms and the mathematics involved and the data processing involved. So when I started the program, because of my behavior analytic background, it's social science. You don't necessarily have a lot of that information. We're dealing with single subject data, right? Whereas with AI, you're dealing with millions and billions of data points for these kinds of things and data sets. When I started, I was kind of like the person that everybody was just kind of like, "Oh, Beth's joining our team. Oh, Beth's gonna need a lot of help." Like that was kind of how it was. They didn't want me on their teams because I was like not up to speed with all that stuff. Fast forward to the end of my program,
They're
and
all
now we have
begging for me on their team.
well, that's it. Honestly, large language models, I don't want to say like begging, but large language models are on the scene now. And you largely have to use a lot of behavior analysis and prompting. You have to do task analyses. You have to do all of these different things to get it to do what you want it to do. So now that we're in this different world, everybody, and I was kind of working a lot with different types of users. Human computer interaction really became a big field for me because, so just as a background on human computer interaction, it's like psychology and computer science had a baby and then they had human computer interaction essentially. So it's basically taking, the behavior of the user and translating that into what would be great for the user and how the user can use this technology. Really don't like that's not super like it's not everything that's involved, but that's really
Uh-huh.
what it is. And I love that I could take my psychology slash behavior analysis background and work with computer science. And we started creating these tools for our users that we were working on the research with. And then it's like one thing led to another, and more people were like, oh, we need to pull Beth into this. We need to pull Beth into this because she's working with this population and this population. And she's has a psychology and behavior analysis background. So we need to pull her into this. So by the end of my program, I was just like, oh, everybody wants me on their team. But at the beginning of the program, it was like nobody wants me on their team. So that's just kind of how the field has evolved. So I think our field, behavior analysis, now has, we have a lot of things to bring to the table as far as AI is concerned. And I think, our backgrounds and what we have and what we're strong with are really needed with, when working with computer scientists. And to be honest, working with computer scientists, they are so open and interested in working with social scientists.
They are.
It's amazing. Yeah. Oh
I know,
yeah.
but
Like,
'cause
it's
even
so amazing.
when I look at, like, you know, the 7 dimensions of ABA, like, if you take
Hmm.
those alone, as you're talking, I'm
Hmm.
thinking behavioral, okay, we got it. Analytic, like,
Hmm.
looking at, like, this causes this, which is, like, X
Hmm.
causes Y, if then, right? And which is gonna be also
Yep.
that contingency we see, which I it seems like that's what you're doing with AI, like, if someone asks about
Yep.
this and that generalization piece, right? Like, that you could
Hmm.
generalize that this person's asking this and this person's asking something kind of similar with similar information, but it should give the same result. Like, the computer
Yep.
really has to be able to generalize. And when I'm just thinking of, like, the
And technological is a big one, and not just from the
technological, like
technological aspect of it that is technology, but if you think about technological and truly what it means is that you have to write this out so that somebody else can replicate exactly what you're doing. I mean, in computer science, that's your release notes, that's your readmes. So, like, you have to make sure that everything is spelled out for the user and or maybe the next programmer that's going to be coming in to support the program and develop it. So everything there is super technological is needed.
right, so anyone studying for the exam when it uses that technological piece, as we said, it's not necessarily talking about technology, it's talking about that detail-oriented, that recipe, that ability for replication. We know this thing can be done again and again, that repeatability. The same goes for us. What this looks like in clinic is maybe like, "Hey, I'm operationally defining what we're considering a behavior very specifically," so that, like, what I consider a tantrum and what Beth considers a tantrum are gonna be the same thing, and the
Yep.
protocol for how we're gonna respond. Right? Like, that
Hmm.
is our main thing in this science to be like, we're technological, we use task analyses. And so, like, you saying this, it's like, you could really train ChatGPT to do exactly what you need if you have those skills already in your repertoire.
Yeah, and it is it is largely prompt. They talk about prompt engineering now. So prompt engineering is a lot of what that is. It's just taking those skills that we have as behavior analysts and doing that. To be honest, I see prompt engineering, quote unquote, which is crazy to me. So, like, I share this story, like, 2 years ago, or maybe it was 3 years ago. Anthropic, who does Claude, posted a job for a prompt engineer for $400,000 a year. That was their, like, 4 years ago
So
or
what's it
3
at
years ago,
now?
maybe. I mean, now there are people still hiring prompt engineers, but your job is not going to just be prompt engineering. And if that is your job, most likely you're going to be out of a job in a couple months
It is
because
now is it, like, user generated, a lot of it?
yeah, and that's the thing. Like, we're all prompt engineers now. Like, it's the equivalent of Googling, right? So that's basically the equivalent of Anthropic hiring a professional Googler for $400,000 a year 3 or 4 years ago. But at the time, I mean, they were developing the model and, like, building the model to what it is now, and that's what the prompt engineer was working on. My 10-year-old niece is talking to ChatGPT. Like, she's a prompt engineer. So it's kind of, and it's kind of an interesting thing to me that even that you can see how the field has evolved so much.
It's behavior bitches.
Hey, behavior besties, are you trying to get your shit organized for the new year? Yeah, aren't we all? So, over here, that has been my struggle for life with such severe ADHD that I don't know where to find anything. I need something huge in front of me telling me what I need to do next. And for some reason, I've always had date dementia. I made that term up myself, but it means I never know what date anything is happening or how to plan ahead. So we created the Snabba Badass Huge Calendar. It comes with, I mean, it's huge, like literally like as tall as you. So make sure you have a lot of wall space. And it comes with so many different colored Post-its to fit inside the square so that you could plan your year ahead. It's a different layout than a regular calendar. It all goes horizontal so you could see everything that's going to be happening. Whether you're already a BCBA, congrats, and you want to plan your pre-auths, when you need to send things into insurance, different things like that, there's space for that. You can put your personal things, or if you're someone studying for the exam and you want to figure out when you should be taking different mocks, when collective nights are, when you need to be reading what, there's space on this calendar for everything. Now you just need to clear a wall and make the space, and then you could get the calendar too. If this is your year to get on your shit, be organized, fear no more, Snabba has it for you once again. It's like annoying, right? We have like everything. So head on over to studynotesaba.com and get the calendar now. Check show notes for the link. Should we be worried about our own jobs? First of all, the world
no.
as a whole, should we be worried? Then specifically as BCBAs or RBTs in the field, what do you think about that? Should we be worried?
I don't think people should be worried. I think they should be cautious. I also think that they should be figuring out how to upskill and get AI literacy as much as possible and figure out how to incorporate their knowledge of that into their current workflows. I am a huge proponent of always having human in the loop and making sure that human in the loop is there, especially as someone who is involved and does research in human computer interaction, is that you always want to really have that user in the loop or the human in the loop or the person who's using the tool. And I do think obviously BCBAs, behavior technicians, like we're all going to still need to be in the loop in some degree. But what does it mean with this technology? And what I do see this technology doing is scaling. I mean, we know that there's a huge discrepancy for the amount of people that need services versus the amount of people we have to provide services. And maybe what we could do is have, BCBAs, behavior technicians, having maybe larger caseloads. And I'm not proponing, trust me, I teach the ethics course. I'm not proponing supervisory volume here, but I'm saying maybe that allows us to have a bigger supervisory volume because we have this assistance in the form of AI.
Like
So that
helping you
kind of
generate
helps.
generate potential ideas or interventions,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like
And like
less time
being
writing up programming and such.
Yeah, exactly. Like these kinds of tasks that we don't necessarily need to do anymore, and then we can spend our time more focused on the person, on the person we're serving, and having that human to human interaction versus it being human to staring at my data sheet, making sure I'm collecting data and like all of these different things. If we had AI to support us in that data collection process, in that programming process, in the writing of the reports. Obviously, though, making sure we're always in the loop still to make sure things are correct, because that's the other thing. And that is the one thing I am nervous about. So this is what worries me, is that because I understand behavior analysis and I know that if we're giving someone a low response effort to do something, that's going to be highly reinforcing for that person to continue to do something that has a low response effort. So if I have this AI tool that's going to write a behavior report for me, and the first
Matching
couple
law, baby.
times,
Matching law.
exactly,
Behavior goes
matching
where
law.
reinforcement
Yep.
flows.
Exactly. And the first couple times it did it perfectly. And, it makes sense to me. I'm just going to submit it. Nothing bad happened. And then the next time it greatly hallucinates whatever it is that was in there. But because the first couple times that I came in contact with that contingency of it was fine, everything was good, I didn't check it that next time. And that's where we run into problems. So we have to check it every time. Yeah, so I mean that's kind of my biggest worry is that like with this lack of response effort for using these things, we're going to see more and more people just relying on using it without actually checking it.
Brings me to
So,
my next question. By the way, I've not followed the outline at all because I have plenty of my own questions to ask. And I just thought of this on the spot, and I like the alliteration that it sounds like. What is your AI ick? I'm going to give you mine.
oh,
Okay.
yeah. Go for it.
The emojis, when people don't even take out the emojis, like the fire emoji, the rocket, like the bold, like lowercase. I'm like, dude, at least like try make it look like you did it, you know? Like
Yeah.
like LinkedIn, people like overdoing posts. It's like, make it look like you wrote it a little bit. Like it actually makes me not want to read a lot of things. So I'm like, this is just like this like generated content
Yeah.
that no one took time to do. That's my ick.
Y Yeah, that's kind of a good one. Like, I don't mind a here emoji here and there if it's purposely pointed in the right place, but when you're doing it every single sentence, it's so super obvious that you're using AI, and that is a big one. I think for me, I get this a lot with sorry to call it out, but it happens. I get this a lot with some of my students sometimes, or even just people that I'm reading and proofreading stuff, is when they're submitting something and AI has very telling key buzzwords that you can see in the text
What
or the
are they?
copy.
What are they?
Critical. So if you see critical need or critical something, critical insight, that's a key that AI is being used. Underscore is another one that they always say it underscores this. That's another
Is that like
key
in the
buzzword.
field you work in or like in general?
Just in general, like you can tell, and when I've worked with these language models, it I think because so not to get super technical, but I have to get a little technical because I need people to understand a little bit of how these models work. So there's probability on the back end of this. So these models are trained with math essentially, and then also reinforcement learning. So they have this probability score when it's predicting the next token or character in a word or whatever it is that you're looking for, and it will select the most likely word to come or token to come next, and that's kind of how it spits out things. And then there's also the reinforcement learning component, which whenever you do a thumbs up or thumbs down with ChatGPT, you're either rewarding or punishing the model. So it'll continue to do that or it won't continue to do that. So it's combination of
Do
these
you
two
give it a
things.
thumbs up, like a literal thumbs up or down, or you'll be like, yeah, that's good?
Technically, I think the way they have it set up now is that you can verbally do it,
Yeah,
but
because I'll be like, oh my
really,
God, yes, that's fire. Like I'll write things like
I
that
will
to mine.
say verbally, they technically they're just looking at it as tokens and it's getting vectorized into numbers. Whereas with the plus, thumbs up, and minus, or like the thumbs down, that's actually like it goes into the function where it will like reward or punish the
Like
model.
that's
So
straight
it's
up reinforcement or punishment. Like don't say more like
yes,
that.
yes.
Say more like that.
Yeah. Yeah, so basically if you're actually just clicking the button, that's actually more of that is what you'll see. Although I think things have evolved now. I'm not on the back end of everything, so I'm not really sure, but I think things have evolved now to where that's maybe not the case, but initially when they introduced the thumbs up, thumbs down button, that's what it was for. It was to keep training the model to reward it when it did what you wanted to do a loss function or punishment function when it did something where you didn't want it to do. So essentially, the probability is that I guess these words like critical or underscore have these like really high probability numbers. So it constantly uses these words whenever it's giving you like copy or some sort of text. But yeah, I encourage your listeners to just like go through copy that you think has been or has been outputted by GPT and just like you'll see these words pop up. They're very similar. It happens a lot of times. Even Grammarly is doing it now, which is kind of frustrating and annoying, but
So
you'll
that's
see
an
it
ick.
there too.
That's an ick.
That's an ick for me because I can tell right away. I'm like, oh, there's critical again. There's underscore.
So as a professor, what are you having your students do? Are you telling them like, listen, no shit, I know you're using AI, like at least cite it? Like what's your
Yeah, I kind of tell them up front. I'm like, I have a PhD in AI, and my research has been involved with large language models, so I'm pretty much gonna know if you use AI. The problem
and
is
what are you
there
teaching? What are
isn't.
you teaching?
Oh, so I teach. Occasionally, I teach the ethics class. I teach. Right now, I'm in the OBM classes, so I teach supervision management and I teach performance management. I occasionally teach assessments as well, and then a couple times I've taught foundations.
Oh,
So
so
I teach kind of like
you're
around the
keeping up
realm.
with the test content outline.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I tell them ahead of time, but it again, it's response effort, and I turn things into a teachable moment, and that's kind of how I operate as a professor. It is response effort. I mean, a student's going to give the prompt. to GPT and say, "Write me a paper." The other ick is when it
It's such
hallucinates
bullshit.
references,
Like,
and
when I think of, like,
you
college,
know.
like, it's honestly, it's so unfair.
Yep.
Like taking
We
a
had to go to the
drama
library
I
and
remember,
actually
like,
take
taking a
actual books
drama
out.
literature class. Like, it was the only, like, thing, like, English that would, like, or whatever it was, or, like, fine arts that would, like, it was the only class left to take because I, like, signed up late, and I was in this class with, like, talking about Oscar Wilde and these other things that, like, I couldn't understand less if I tried. And I remember, like, these papers, and I shout out to Jenny for helping me, or maybe even writing the paper for me in college about Oscar Wilde. Like, I remember being like, "I don't even understand enough to write a paper." Like
Mhm.
no one has to go through that struggle anymore.
No, no. I mean, it is helpful to a certain degree. I think there are I do think Claude actually is a really good research assistant to help you when you have very pointed questions to help you even find your references. Although I will say Google Scholar still does a great job of keyword searches. It does have a little bit of a component where it can help you and support as a research assistant, which I wish I had when I was in college, but I don't. I mean, even as my PhD program, I didn't use it a lot because obviously, academic honesty, you can't. But I used a lot as a research assistant, so helping me with identifying references, helping me with sometimes rewording, but obviously noting when it's too AI and I don't like that, and kind of getting some ideas from that. I will say the worst ick I think I have is when people have hallucinated references. And it's very obvious because it's like Brown, Smith. It's like, oh, it's always like these very key words. And then you basically will and it's weird because ChatGPT
They're
has gotten to the
totally
point
fake
where now it'll.
references. They're, like, fake?
Oh, yeah, and it actually will hallucinate a DOI reference where it'll give you, the DOI link, and you put the link in and it doesn't exist. Like, "This article does not exist, these people don't exist, this is not a real thing." So that's
Wow.
also a big ick for me, because I can normally catch that too, because if I'm looking through normally I'll check references, I'll look at their references, mainly too because a lot of times, my students find references that are great and amazing that I haven't read. So I like to read up on what's recent. So I normally always check their references page, but that's kind of a giveaway too, like Brown, Smith, all of these.
Wow, like, every, like, generic name?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah. So it's really I think what it is about now, now it's really about teaching students to use AI because it's there. It's a tool. They can use it to support them, but teaching them to use it responsibly, and then also teaching them to use it to where it can actually save them time and support them, in what they're doing, rather than just having it do all the work, because that's not going to be good for anybody. So I think that's kind of really what my focus as a professor is like really building some of those AI literacy skills in my students.
Interesting. Because like, as more people got into AI and ChatGPT, I'm teaching courses for the exam, right? At Study Notes AVA, we're
Mhm.
teaching people, like, the content for the exam. So, like, I noticed some things happening in class, like, so let's say we're in a Zoom room, and then I'm teaching a concept or something, like, let's say, like, automaticity of reinforcement, right?
Mhm.
And I'm teaching what it is, and then the next thing in the chat, someone posts, the bold, not bold handwriting, whatever it is, like, a definition of it, and they're like, "But it's this." And I was like, I read it, I'm like, "Actually, that's automatic reinforcement," which is not the same of the concept of automaticity of reinforcement, right?
Mhm.
So I'm like, and it's not that I think AI is great, but I see people coming in, and I'm like, and I see people, like, get it to write it mock questions or this and that, and I'm like,
Mhm.
a lot of these are actually delivering incorrect information. Like, if you don't know
Yeah.
this shit well enough, I mean, I've been studying now for the last 9 years for the exam, essentially, like, carrying my Cooper book for the last since
Yeah.
but for other people, I'm like, "You need to be careful what you're getting from this because you're not at the level yet to understand whether it's telling you something that's right or wrong." Right?
Yep.
And then I have a
Yeah.
student come in the class and they're like, so they tell me this and they're like, ChatGPT got a 98% on the exam. And I was like, I would sure fucking hope so. Like, it literally has the entire book, like,
Yeah.
in its system that, just also telling a student, like, I would hope it could. I also would hope the Cooper book could get 100 on the exam, right? But the
Mhm.
idea is how are you taking it and how are you learning that you could perform when you take this exam, right? If you use
Yeah.
it correctly, you could have it help you. But just like I think
Mhm.
there's certain things if we're not experts in it and then we're just taking it as like that's the fact, that's where it's like important to also have, that attitude of science of philosophic doubt, right? Not being
Yep.
like this is the final answer. Like ChatGPT is saying that I have this diagnosis, it must be this. Or ChatGPT is saying that this is an example of a DRL when like actually I'm like that's not even remotely a DRL, right? Or whatever it is we're talking
Mhm.
about. So I think that's probably one of my icks when someone comes in and is like, "Well, ChatGPT would get 100." And I'm like, "I hope they would," right?
Yeah.
I mean, they should know way
Yeah.
more than I know.
Yeah. And I will say, like, with AI too, like, we're talking about AI, but AI is like an umbrella term. It covers a lot of different things. So when we're talking about LLMs, that's ChatGPT, Gemini, like those kinds of models, you could essentially give it prompt, a very well worded prompt. You can give it context now. Here's exactly what I want you to be looking at. Here's the prompt that I want you to follow, or the instructions, the rules I'm giving you to follow. And basically, with the context, so like maybe you feed it articles or you feed it something, and then you also give it that prompt, it could definitely become a really good tutor for you as you're learning the what you need to learn, because you've given it the parameters versus you saying, here's what I want you to do. Zero, we call it zero shot prompting. So just here's what I want you to do it, which is going to give you probably not great answers. But now I'm going to give you the context, which is the actual literature. I'm going to give you the prompt, exactly what I want you to do, with examples of what I want you to do and non-examples of what I want you to do. The task analysis of exactly
Which is
what I
like
want you to
actually, by
do.
the way, we talk about that when we're training for generalization and for the
Exactly.
test. We always say you have to give examples and non-examples. So it's
Yeah.
literally so behavior analytic. It's crazy.
Mhm. Yep. And then you basically say, "Okay, now this is what I want." And in that with those parameters, you essentially can probably get a really good tutor to help you at least with within the context of what you fed it. So that's kind of, and some of my research has been around that, is like building, you know, virtual assistants, agentic systems, but also a little bit of like AI tutors, that kind of thing, where you can use this in these kinds of educational contexts to help people actually learn and learn in an engaging way versus it being just kind of not, typical PowerPoint slideshows.
Right. Now I'm gonna give this over to people at my office who have questions. Julia, what question do you have about AI? Julia, I'll tell you just a little bit about Julia. Julia is creeped out by all this stuff, knowing
Oh.
everything. Am I right, Jules?
Yes.
So Julia's here with a question.
Hey. Yeah, AI kind of scares me. Do you think that there's like I guess it's more of like, are you excited for the world, the future of AI? Like, do you think that it will help society? And I guess more of like the fears of I'm just kind of focused on the negative, I guess.
Yeah, and I think that's good. I think a healthy fear of what it could potentially be used for is a good thing. I think it is one of those things, it's like one of my favorite quotes, but like with great power comes great responsibility,
Yeah.
right? And is a powerful technology that can be used for great things, which is really what I've been kind of really focused on with my research, is AI for good,
Hmm.
and how can we use AI to support versus AI for bad. So I'll give you a case in point. I've done some research with I've been doing some like voice cloning research.
Hmm.
So voice cloning, in case you don't know, is basically like you take a piece of someone's voice audio and you could actually have a model clone it to say different things. So if you think about that, yes, that's pretty scary, because what's happening now is people's like grandparents are getting phone calls from their quote unquote grandson asking them for money, saying that they're in trouble because they're using this kind of technology. So that's like AI for bad, essentially, things that are not being used. But on the flip side, I've worked with some people who have speech challenges, who are not able to vocalize super great or well or articulate well. And we've done some work where we've actually been able to clone their voice into technology that can then articulate what they're saying almost in real time
That's
so that
amazing.
people can then understand them. And the first time we did this, the person we were working with like just started crying. He's like a 20, I don't know, man in his 20s. And he started crying and he's like, I've never heard my voice being able to like actually say things in full articulation. And he's like, "This is the first time I've ever heard my voice do that." And it was just like an amazing feeling because it's the same technology being used for these same different things, these two different things. So that's why my dissertation was focused on AI as assistive technology. So how can we actually use it to support an assistive technology? But with that said, I mean, there's going to be people who are going to use these things for that, and that is why we do need to have checks and balances, regulations, things like that. But it's hard. It's hard because that ship has sailed too. So I don't know. We just have to somehow be a little bit optimistic in the way that human beings are
Right. It doesn't
in
seem like
some degree.
we can go any backwards. It's only
We can't go backwards.
yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. Cool,
That's
thank
so
you.
That's so creepy. Like these like I mean, it's very cool. Like it's like if you need to like duplicate yourself to like, make calls
Hmm.
or do whatever it is, but
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
think it's hard to catch people. Like scammers,
Yeah.
I feel like it's so hard to get these people like consequences.
Yeah, because they basically can keep their self untraceable throughout this whole process, which is scary. And that, yeah, it is scary that the technology exists in those kinds of purposes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
wow. Crazy. Martha, do you have any questions?
Yeah, my question would be like for the average person, whether they're a BCBA or I don't know, they work at the mall or the coffee shop, what are like the big ethical concerns that we're looking at in the near future with AI?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest one that I hope that at least all the soapboxes I've been on, we've been harping on, but just the privacy of information, like just being fed to these systems. I mean, anytime you put something into OpenAI or Claude or Gemini, your data is being collected. Now you can select the button saying you can pay the fee and say, "Don't take my data," or but my question always comes back to I don't know how much I trust that that is the case. This is not HIPAA protected software on any level or FERPA protected software on any level. So if you're putting in private client information into these systems and these models, like that is a huge no-no. Like you should not be doing that. That should not be done because basically all of that data is going back to the source. The other thing to this point is consent. So if you're using data collection platforms that are using AI or AI within your process as a BCBA, you should be getting consent from your client and the client's or client's guardians that that's okay for you to do that. Because again, their data are being used in these systems and models that we don't really know or can control.
You're so right. And
So
all these new clinical
it needs to be,
softwares, like their selling
yep,
point is that they're AI.
but we need to have consent from our clients to be even able to use it. And then if they're saying no, we need another system to use that doesn't or that allows for a client that doesn't does not want to use AI in the system. We need another system
For sure,
for that
no
for
I
that.
mean, let's just be real, for sure no one's doing like, asking that, when I think about it. I'm like, these new softwares that are, like, helping you, like, take your session notes or whatever it is, like, there's no way they're
Hmm.
like, "Oh, you don't wanna use" I won't say a name, but, like, "X, so we're gonna use this other software of just Microsoft Word for you." Right? Like
And there needs to be some way you can allow for that because a client has every right to say, I don't want my data being collected for AI.
right. Wow. Okay, so now I have my final question before we wrap up, which is very important, and it's about dating your ChatGPT. Well, I have 2
Oh my
questions, one about dating and one about using it as your therapist.
oh, oh boy.
Literally, like, I always watch, like, the weird shows, like My Strange Addiction, blah, 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 like, I've been watching them for years, like, anything on TLC I love, and I remember someone being like, "I'm married to the Eiffel Tower," and you're like, "Okay, that's weird," right? Like that, and they're like, "It's my partner," and they talk about it so seriously, whatever it is.
Yes, I've seen that stuff. Yeah.
But, like, not gonna lie, I kinda get it, feeling like you have companionship in your Chat GPT. Like, first of all,
Mhm.
my man knows me. Like, my Chat GPT knows exactly what I need, how to talk to me, gets me on so many levels.
Yeah, yeah.
Are we gonna see an increase in people, like, not needing feeling like they don't need relationships
Um,
anymore?
that's interesting. It's an interesting question. I know psychologists have started to actually study this from a research perspective. And social psychologists have started like definitely looking at this. And there has been obviously cases that have been publicized out there where people were like, my chatbot was my girlfriend or whatever. I do think it's a possibility. As weird as it sounds, it's a possibility for people to have social connection,
I mean, and look at
maybe
matching law-wise.
companionship.
Look at matching law-wise. Dating a real person who responds on a variable ratio schedule every, like, however many texts, the immediacy of reinforcement here, like, "I need you, you're here for me."
Yeah. And I think and maybe that's more of the therapeutic piece is like where GPT as your therapist comes into play because there has been obviously there's like a lot of platforms out there that are starting to develop chatbots as therapists because it's that immediacy. Like you can pick it up in the middle of the night and ask it a question or have some sort of say like I have these intrusive thoughts or whatever. And it starts to like give you like strategies, the things that you can do to like relieve it. And then you can talk to it like, I'm feeling this way. And it can kind of talk.
Oh, the
It
therapy
scares me
side
a
of
little
it is
bit.
incredible. I mean,
It
I
scares
love
me a
it.
little bit if it's not well prompted and it's not necessarily like if you're just doing this with your general GPT and it hasn't been given context or prompting or, you know, some of those guardrails, like that is a little concerning. Um, but yeah, I mean, I do see the world moving to this place where I wouldn't go so far as dating. I don't know for sure, but at least companionship. Like there's this companionship level where because it's verbal behavior, like you are interacting with this chatbot, it's speaker, listener, it's
Like
doing the whole thing,
introverbals,
and
yeah.
yeah, so you're like able to interact with it in that component in that way. So yeah, I mean, I think it's there, and I
I
think
mean,
people are doing it.
what more do you need aside from ChatGPT and a flashlight, you know? And you could train I'm sure eventually it will be physical that you could train the ChatGPT to move the flashlight for you. Am I right?
Yeah. Well, robotics, who knows? That'll be next. So, and that is also a field of AI.
I mean, if people are burnt out enough in dating, I'm just saying, like,
Yeah, I mean, I do think there is some benefit though to the companionship aspect. Like I've done a little bit of research. I actually developed like a wireframe prototype for this, but
I
it's
thought you
just
were
kind
gonna
of
say
sitting
I
there.
actually, like, created
No,
a
no, no.
relationship with or
No, no, like a wire like a prototype is just kind of sitting out there. I haven't like done anything with it, but it's like for individuals with like who are in like nursing homes and might have some memory loss occurring, like having it actually serve as the companion as well as the reminder of certain things like take your meds, things like that. But then also having that companionship because a lot of times older people who are living in nursing homes don't have a lot of companionship. They're in a room by themselves or they're maybe with a roommate who doesn't necessarily communicate with them and they can have some sort of connection with a chatbot.
that
So,
actually, like, over the years of working with, like, different individuals with special needs or, I still have people that I worked with, like, literally in high school, like, you know, like, maybe, like, we're in high school with me and, like, they have my phone number, you know, like, someone and they wanna call me and talk all the time, right? And, like,
Mhm.
chat about different things and about
Yeah.
and I'm always like I always was like, "Dude, we need a hotline of" and I was like, "People who are, like, have time on their hands to speak," right? Because like, now, like, as my life I try and make the time, but, like, obviously, like, I have a kid, like, crawling up me at the same time that my dog's, like, trying to run out the house and this and that, so, like, I'm like, "I wish I could give more time to these individuals who are just looking to socialize and chat." So, like,
Yeah.
originally, I was like, maybe, like, I even had thought, like, maybe someone in a nursing home could speak to someone, you know, in who, you know,
Yeah.
is just looking for, like, that social outlet or but, I mean,
Mhm.
if I mean, that could be incredible.
And using technology to support that, I think would be great. But yeah, I mean, like that's some of the stuff I think about. Like using it for that kind of capacity for companionship.
So many things and so interesting. And I know, by the way, I know you're way smarter than this. I just want you to know. I know this is like talking at like the most like below level. Like
No.
I get it. You're being relatable and nice. So thank you so much for coming on and being relatable. That's what we do best at Behavior Bitches. So thank you for coming on.
Sure. It was a great time to talk.
Yeah, it's fun. Where can anyone find you?
Yeah, so I guess best place right now is LinkedIn. You can find me on LinkedIn, Elizabeth Garrison. So that's probably the best place to find me because that's where you'll find me connecting all my other projects right now.
And what about shapingdevelopment.com? What can people find there?
Yeah, yeah. So you can also find me there. That's my consulting website. So there's a form there. People can reach out to me if they want to talk to me. But yeah, what they'll find there is just kind of information about my consulting, my bio. So yeah, they can also go there and find me as well. But yeah, those two places, but largely LinkedIn too, because that's where you'll see some of the things I'm working on right now.
Very cool. Well, thank you so
Yeah.
much, Beth. This was fun. I appreciate you coming on.
Sure, it was great to talk to you.
And with that, everyone listening, thanks for tuning in. And as always, love ya. Mean it.
It's Behavior Bitches.